Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet, about to be joined by Ken Weed from the Winnipeg Free Press. Together, we are Kenny and Renny. This is the Kenny and Renny post-game show following one heck of a hockey game. Someone had said something about parity in the league. Um, and I'm trying to remember who it was today. I think it was, I do believe it was the Jets coach, Scott Arniel, who'd said something about it, but just the idea of the battle that happens, the parity in the league that's happening right now. And to think that that game was played between two teams below the playoff line, the Toronto Maple Leafs come away with 2 points in this game. They end up in a position where they're still on the outside looking in. The Winnipeg Jets are second last in the league in points after a game like at that. And that was a phenomenal hockey game. I mean, the shots, 2 double doink posts by the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, we've talked about hockey god bounces. I don't know if this counts as hockey god bounces against them, but you don't come any closer. Well, I guess the triple doink would qualify, but the double doink is pretty unbelievable to happen once in a game, never mind twice. I just thought the small area passing in this game was great. I thought the effort level was great. It was kind of fascinating to see the last time these two teams played against each other. And I should tell you, you're already in the middle of the opening drive, the Jim Patterson Toyota on Regent opening drive. It's just another one of those days I popped open the door, you hopped in, and we just went going before I had a chance to kind of tell you about it. But last time these two teams played were two teams that kind of were needing to wake up. And I think there's a clear idea that both the Winnipeg Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs have woke up. One place I'm going to go to in this is Connor Hellebuyck. I thought that was Connor Hellebuyck's best game of the year. I thought he was brilliant. I do think that, he overplayed the puck on that, on the winning goal in overtime. But I think if you're a Winnipeg Jets fan and you want to take something out of this, never mind the fact that, they get 9 points out of a possible 10 in their last 5 games, that there's, a whole lot of compete on this. I didn't look at this and think that the Jets completely and totally blew this one. I know Scott Arniel had a different take on it, and Scott Arniel, he's got to coach in a certain direction. And one of the things he made clear today was the Winnipeg Jets just have to keep getting points, and they can't lose points that they potentially have to put in the bank. It's the right message to go with. I still think, a seeing eye puck from the point. It's a great play. It is like a shot that's being taken from the point to try and put it in that exact spot. So I don't know. Ken and I can break down, what the Jets could have done. Players gave us ideas. Coaches gave us ideas. I think they felt they sat back just a little bit, didn't attack as much in the third period. You're playing not just a full 60, but you're playing a full 60 guns a-blazing if you do that. So I think it's a little bit understandable. But for the most part, to go back to Connor Hellebuyck, I think if you're a Winnipeg Jets fan, other than the points that are happening here, one of the things that you can maybe take faith with in this game is I thought this was the best game Connor Hellebuyck has had so far this year. I thought he makes a lot of saves, that he hasn't made in past games. I still think his confidence isn't quite underneath him. There's a number of times during this game that he kind of looks behind him or looks unsure of where the puck is. I think those are sure signs that we're not used to seeing from Connor Hellebuyck, that he's not at his most confident. But I see a step forward by Connor Hellebuyck on this night. And so when you've got a team that's been taking steps forward and now they're getting to a place where they are, building and building and building, that's that next step that can really potentially trigger something. To the final point I'll make before I shut this thing down here, if the Winnipeg Jets are going to do this, I'd said this a while ago, they basically got to go for the last 40 games. They got to go 7 wins for every 10 games, 7 wins in a 10-game block. Well, right now the Winnipeg Jets put themselves in a pretty good position, because the first 10-game block that we're looking at here, it's basically they've taken 9 of a possible 10 points. So the 10-game block is 20 points. They need just 5 more points to hit that pace that we're talking about for those first 10 games. So over their next 5 games, if the Winnipeg Jets can go 500, they've hit that. Now you want to clearly put points in the bank. 7 out of 10 games, 7 wins out of 10 games. That's a high mark. You want to like stay above that mark if you can, because you're going to dip below it at some point. But the Winnipeg Jets are creating a question: can they do it? That's at least what we're seeing from them at this stage. We'll get into the ramifications of them not getting that extra point and everything like that. But there's reasons to be optimistic after a game like that if you're a Winnipeg Jets fan. And that's, of course, my take on the opening drive, brought to you by Jim Pattison Toyota on Regent. And hey, it's January and it's time to Toyota. Jim Pattison Toyota on Regent. Finance the new 2026 BZ XLE all-electric SUV from $158 weekly for 60 months at 1.49% with $5,599 down payment. But hurry, the offer ends February 2nd. Visit Jim Pattison Toyota on Regent for a test drive today. All right, time to bring him in here. The man with the best music in the business, folks. Here comes Kenny. Oh, Ken, let's pop in here. Bring the man into it. Great to see you, Ken. Looking
as well.
good, as you always are. I got to say, this is another one of those ones. Okay, here's something. I don't know how many people need as many suits as Renny needs. I've got a ridiculous amount in my closet. But the one thing that happens to me over and over again is I'll get a suit and it'll fall to the back of the closet. And then all of a sudden I'll rediscover it. And a lot of times what would happen, I can tell you, Ken, I bought suits in the past. I went to some of the big box store places. And when I went with those suits and I put them in the back of the closet for a couple of years, next time I pulled them out, they were not in fashion anymore. They did not look good. And I pulled this sucker out. Can't remember the last time I wore it, but man, oh man, it's still, I pull it out and it's one of the nicest suits that I've got going in my rotation, because Frankie and the boys over at Vittorio Rossi, they've got that classic, that timeless look for you. So you know what? If you want to have that kind of suit that you're going to buy now and it's going to last you for years upon years upon years, I can tell you this one is pre-COVID, Ken. I know that for a fact. It's pre-COVID. So if you want the kind of suit that is 6 years, 7 years later, going to look like it's fresh off the rack and it's going to look like $1 million, you got to head on down to Vittorio Rossi on Corden Avenue. Walk in, loudly proclaim Kenny and Renny sent you. Ask for Frankie and the boys, and they will do you up right. Ken, you're about to do up the audience right with some great analysis. What's your takeaways from the game?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun Saturday night tilt. A good way to spend Hockey Day in Canada. Saturday night special here. Two entertaining teams, two teams, as you mentioned. If you'd watch that game as just a part-time or casual fan, you would never guess that one of those teams occupies 31st overall and the other is still in a tooth and nail battle to get above the playoff line. But yeah, I mean, there were some defensive miscues in the game, which is what happens when you have a couple teams that are kind of playing at more of a high octane type of game. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a super fun game, festive atmosphere. I mean, you and I don't have a horse in the race, so to speak. So, I mean, I don't know how Jets fans feel in the building when it's a little bit overpopulated by Leafs fans, but I think it makes for a super fun atmosphere and people were into it. You had dueling banjos chants out there and, it's a little loud when the visiting team scores a goal, but I mean, the Leafs travel well. I mean, this is an original six franchise that, does a good job and people come from far and wide to see them. And I thought it was just a fun game overall. And as you mentioned, I mean, I think there were blocks of the game for the Jets that, to say they were in complete control is probably an exaggeration, but I mean, in building the lead, I mean, they were certainly deserving in building that lead, but at the same time, I think they let the Leafs back into it a little bit. But Sean, I mean, Austin Matthews is playing at sort of an unbelievable is not the right word. He's playing at a very high level right now. I mean, he had come into the game with 8 goals and 15 points in his last 10 games. And tonight he scores the game or the goal that helps get them back into it and sets up the game winner. So, never been great at math, but that's to me 9 goals, 17 points in his last 11 games for a team that has lost once outright in regulation time. Sean, I mean, you talked in the opening drive about what kind of runs you need to go on in order to make something like that possible. The Leafs are 9-1-3 in their block of time, as they were in a very similar predicament to the Jets. They were dead last in the Eastern Conference at one point. Now what? They're 2 points out of a playoff spot, but they basically had to go, well, not basically, they had to go 9-1-3 to get there. So it gives you an indication that you laid it out perfectly. I mean, the Jets going 4-0-1 in the first part of the block. Again, that's 900, but it's similar to what they need to do in order to get rolling here. So anyway, it's as you mentioned. I mean, you posed the question to various players and to Scott O'Neill. I mean, if you or I had said to any player in that room, what would you feel about 9 of 10 points? They would have taken it. But I also like the fact, Sean, and again, this is not last year's Jets. We know that. We've been talking about that. You've talked about it since about game 6. But for the Jets, they aren't happy with 9 of 10 when they know they love. Like, let's make no mistake. Jets need points in almost as many games as they can possibly get. But this is a lost point today. There's no sugarcoating that. That's a lost point, the Jets here. And not just because they lost in overtime. That's a game they got to close out in regulation time. No, it doesn't matter if the Leafs get that extra point in the standings, but it matters to the Jets. I mean, that's a game that they can't let through their grasp. Now, the optimist would say, well, they they blew a 4-1 lead and lost in regulation on January 1st, which is also true. But from where I sat, Sean, and from where you sit, I mean, the Jets put themselves in position to take 4 of 4 points against the Leafs instead of 1, which when you are finding yourself 7 points out of a playoff spot, that's a pretty darn big difference in how we talk about the situation that they're faced with, don't you think?
Agreed. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're sitting at 4 points out, and we're not talking about a top 5 draft pick. We're talking about the Jets trying to pick off 1 or 2 or 3 teams rather than trying to leapfrog 6 teams in the Western Conference, which is completely different. It's a completely different scenario.
And just thinking of that, on this night, I see that there's, as the Jets are trying to pick off teams, you've got teams like the Kraken and the Mammoth playing against each other. One of those 2 teams has to win, right? So one of those 2 teams that they're chasing is getting 2 points. I look and I see here
Calgary already won today.
Calgary already won. The Kings and Ducks are playing on this night. One of those 2 teams has to win, and right now they're tied 1-1. So, it's one of those games that could end up being, one of the old, 3-point games. And so, there's, the Predators are up 1-0 right now on the Golden Knights halfway through that game. The Predators on a bit of a heater right now. So, yeah, I mean, it's a strange one, Ken, because I'm going to use something that I thought was complete and total ridiculousness the first time I heard it. But I saw this game, and I get that the Winnipeg Jets were up 2 in this game. I know that the team is upset that they lost those points. I know that Scott Arniel's upset that he lost those points, that the Winnipeg Jets lost those points. And I think it's the right message. It's the right message to say, hey, we don't have time now. We've put ourselves in a situation where giving away points is just not an option for us. We have to find a way to get those 2 points. But I remember early on with the Jets and Paul Maurice, before they made the playoffs in that 2017-18 year, they had a real streak that year of like getting up in games and blowing the lead. And I asked Paul Maurice about them blowing leads, and his response was, "Oh, there's no such thing as blowing leads. Sometimes parts of the game you're up, sometimes you're down, and blah blah." And it was just, I thought it was
you weren't buying what he was selling.
It was complete and total poppycock, right? Like, it was like, here, I think my team is too fragile to hear the idea of blowing leads, so I'm going to construct this narrative there's no such thing as blown leads. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, blah blah blah. But this is the first time I feel I've ever seen a game where I kind of feel that way, right? Like, listen, the Winnipeg Jets, the way that they've been scoring lately, and they're scoring consistently doing it. So there's something to it, no doubt. But there is still a little bit of a randomness to scoring as many goals from the point as the Winnipeg Jets are. It's become their primary source of offense, is just getting the puck to the point, firing it on net, and redirecting it in. Well, that's how the Toronto Maple Leafs score this goal. Just throw a whole bunch of people onto the net, create a little bit of confusion in front. Kudos to it's Ekman Larsson who scores that one to tie the game up.
That was the one before.
No, Ekman Larsson has number 2. Who scores?
McMahon got the tip, but it was Ekman Larsson's shot, and we weren't. I'm not 100% sure that he tipped it. I mean, I think he still.
I don't know that he tipped it either, but if you take a look at the shot, what happens is Toronto basically sets up a wall.
Yep.
And Connor Hellebuck's eyesight is on the wrong side of that wall, and whether or not that shot gets tipped or not, it may have been touched. It doesn't look like it really redirects that much.
Agreed.
Connor Hellebuck doesn't see it regardless. This is a shot where basically they blind the goalie and they throw it in, but there's still an element of luck to that. So I don't know. For the first time ever, I've taken that quote by Paul Maurice and kind of thought to myself, okay, maybe, just maybe there are times when that happens, but there's definitely a fragility that's involved to a team that continually blows leads. And I think one of the things that we're looking at with the Winnipeg Jets here, yes, they've got 9 points out of a possible 10, but they did have that game against the New York Islanders where it got really tight after they blew a 3-goal lead. And now they've, allow 3 straight goals to lose this game. Like, this is something that last year's team really wouldn't have done. Like, this game would have been over for last year's Winnipeg Jets. So I know there's a little bit of a find a way, but the Winnipeg Jets aren't as dominant as they were last year. So when you're not as dominant, sometimes other teams are going to have their play. They're going to have their say. And it feels to me like this isn't, I guess let me put it as clearly as I can. In games past, the Winnipeg Jets blew leads because as the game went on, the other team just got better than the Jets and the Jets couldn't keep up. That's not what happened. Now, are there mistakes made on the 2 goals? Yes, there's mistakes made on almost every goal that's scored, but at least the Winnipeg Jets are shrinking those moments of the other team being better down to like a couple plays and a mistake here or there, rather than basically getting caved in for the last half of a game. And that feeling of inevitability that we always talked about working for the Jets last year was working against them this year. This didn't have that feeling of inevitability. I'm going to bring her into the conversation here, but Sarah Orleski had a conversation. She was heading downstairs with about 8 minutes left. She said, "What do you think?" And I said, "I think they're holding on to this game," right? Because that's what it looked like on the ice. That's what we were seeing. Didn't turn out that way, but if you're not seeing that there has been progress made by the Jets, and that game being an example of that compared to the leads that they've been blowing in the past, I think that they're, the room for error is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. It was small tonight. It went against them, but it's not the kind of wide open mistakes that they're making that led them to losing 11 straight games and led them to being the worst team in the NHL through the month of November and the worst team in the NHL in the month of December.
Yeah, agreed. And I think you nailed it. I mean, that was sort of where I was leaning also. I mean, this was not an air of inevitability type of game here for either side. It was an evenly played game. I mean, there's no other way to put this. Yes, the Jets needed to be more urgent than the Leafs based on them being 31st, but I mean, it's two teams that are, in a bind and trying to get themselves out of it. And I thought that both teams mostly played well. I mean, mistakes happen on the Jets' goals too. But as you mentioned, I mean, both teams went to the hard areas. Their skilled players made some plays. And at the end of the day, the Jets are a double doink from Jonathan Taves that everyone in the building thought was in from scoring a power play goal. And they're not even needing to be overtime. So, I mean, this was a coin flip type of game. That's what it was. I mean, this isn't I mean, yes, you can argue the Jets did not put their opponent away. That's entirely accurate. But I don't think that this was not a, hair on fire for the entire third. And it was just a matter of time. And it wasn't, I mean, I'm going to use an example, Sean, that the game 1 against Colorado, Like if that game had been 3 minutes longer, the Jets might have lost that game, right? That
Right.
was not what today was. Today was an even game. Both teams had their chances. At the end, the Leafs cashed theirs in. They cashed one more in, and it's game over. I mean, that's life sometimes. And again, I understand some folks are having frustration. I've went back and rewatched the game winner several times. Yes, I mean, Josh Morrissey had the puck in his stick. He made a pass to Mark Scheifele that was slightly behind him. People, going crazy like, oh, you can't criticize Josh Morrissey. He's trying to make a play in 3-on-3 overtime that he's made. That's a play. He and Mark have a little bit of nonverbal communication going. The pass is in his feet. It gets turned over, goes the other way. Oliver Ekman-Larsson gets the play going north. Jets are caught. 2-on-1 rush. It's in the back of the net. I mean, people saying this is a blatant turnover. I mean, if that pass is slightly ahead, the Jets are the team that has a 2-on-1 with Scheifele and Connor. I mean, it's a elite player trying to make an elite play. The pass is slightly off and it goes the other way. Like that's what happens in overtime. But Sean, I'm curious, just, I know that we discount overtime because it doesn't matter in the playoffs, but this is pretty extraordinary for the Jets. The lack of success they've had at 3-on-3 compared, again, I'm not comparing it to last year because of the teams, but I mean, the Scheifele, Connor, Morrissey trio has been money for a long time with the pick plays and all of those things. Why do you think they haven't had as much success this year in that, small part of the game that disappears come April and beyond?
Yeah. So, I thought that was really interesting because like I was almost surprised to see people kind of a little bit, I wouldn't say up in arms, but the way that they kind of turned on Josh Morrissey in this because of him turning things over. And the reason I thought that, Ken, was this guy's been so often a part of the Winnipeg Jets pulling off exactly what you're talking about, that three-way, let's just keep moving the puck, weaving. All of a sudden, someone loses their man, and you've got the guy who goes in and he scores. I mean, right off the top of my head, when the Winnipeg Jets were in first last year and they were going into a big battle, a first-place battle against the Washington Capitals last year, it's Josh Morrissey who scores in overtime with that trio that you're talking about. And it's not the first time he's done it. He's done a whole bunch of times. He's been part of them doing it. So, I mean, I guess one part of what I would suggest, like when people are like that upset about it, it's like, well, it's 3-on-3 overtime. Sometimes when you try to make something work, and it doesn't work out for you, the puck goes the other way. That's the nature of 3-on-3 overtime. I don't blame a guy for trying to go out and get the next point.
Trying to make a play. I mean?
Exactly.
Trying
to make a play. So I was surprised for people to be kind of up in arms about that. But I guess, Ken, the biggest answer that I would give you is it feels like they're too spread out. And it feels like what's happening is like that line is really, really good at forcing to get the puck back. And we saw a really good example of that with Matthew Knies having the puck and Kyle Connor dogging him with his speed, getting him to change direction, then chasing him out of the zone and basically setting a trap where he's got position on him and Knies has nowhere to go. And then who's just waiting right there at the mouth of the trap? Mark Scheifele. The only thing Knies can do is try and chip it past him. It doesn't work because Scheifele is so good at with the puck, knocks it down. Puck goes the other way. They've got possession. But even if Knies chips it past him, Scheifele just has to make contact, and now your defenseman picks it up. Josh Morrissey picks it up. Like those kind of things. It feels like that's not happening as much this year. The trap plays like they pulled off there that they're so good at, because I think teams now understand. I think when part of preparing for the Jets was last year now, the league got a really good look for last year, the year before that, and a little bit of the year before that on what makes the Winnipeg Jets good. So to a degree, what we're seeing this year is the book is out on the Winnipeg Jets, right? And so one of the things that I see is teams don't get careless with that top line like they did in years past. Part of that is that it used to be teams would go in and they'd get an opportunity and a guy would be like, we're not getting the shot we want. So a guy would just throw it on net. Well, that's a turnover against that line. And what that line was always really good at, and I know it's going to sound ironic because this is a night where Josh Morrissey loses it, but that line rarely gives up possession of the puck. And we're so good at holding on to that possession and holding it on to the point that when they got tired, they'd get Adam Lowry out there next and they'd keep that possession. That I just think teams now are a little bit different. Teams are far more selective with the shots they take, so that line doesn't get the puck as much in overtime as they did last year. I think because they don't get it as much when they get it, they're a little bit now on the other side of it where they're like, well, let's just get an opportunity and get a shot going here, or they try things that are a little bit risky because they've spent so much time on the ice defending that they want to get something going. It's their job. It's in their DNA. It's us who are supposed to be doing this. But at the heart of it, Ken, that weaving that you talk about, where you just basically, it's like you're crocheting in the zone back and forth, and then finally you create some kind of mistake, but with a pick play, boom, a guy's in. I just feel like they're not getting the puck as much. So when they do get there, that's tiring to do that. So they're trying for different kinds of offense. And they just seem spread out to me, Ken. They seem like they're getting pushed away from each other. And who knows, there may be something to how teams approach them now and say, listen, we're not going to chase this guy here. We're not going to chase him there. We're going to push these guys to the outside, and we're not going to let them basically stack up in front of us in the middle and do that weaving that they've been doing.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I've seen lots of, NHL observers and writers and people like don't enjoy overtime as much because it's not as wide open. And I mean, the Jets are one of those teams that just kept attacking you. They just kind of kept, like you said, the bobbing and weaving and the subtle pick plays. Those things aren't happening. I think most teams are defending a little bit better around the league. So yeah, I mean, it's just interesting to see because I mean, that was it was part of their superpower last year. And this year it's sort of, they've been just kind of mediocre at it, which is kind of surprising when you, consider the personnel. Now, again, that's a good point. I mean, Nikolai Ehlers, this is one place where, but again, right on the flip side, you could say that about the Leafs. They don't have Marner in overtime, and that's probably impacted how they've played in overtime various points also, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, so fun game. Just
one of the things you have going if you're the Leafs as well is you've got a team that you've still got Austin Matthews doing his thing. Clearly, he's out on the ice and he makes a difference tonight with Domi. It's Domi who scores the game winner, isn't it, Ken? So he's able to get that done. But I know he's injured right now, but the Leafs get to roll out Nylander on a different line, right? Like this is one of those things where other teams have their Mark Scheifele and their Kyle Connor split on different lines in overtime, whereas in Winnipeg that just hasn't been the option that's been taken. I like this though. Is it Partisan Paul? Partisan Paul 7357. I'm ready to hand out. This is a really good point to be made. So I'm going to hand out the Flame and Comfort hot take of the game. The good kind of hot take. This is one of the good ones, so don't shy away from it. Partisan Paul, you are the winner of the KNR hot take, brought to you by Flame and Comfort, Manitoba's premier supplier of fireplaces, wood stoves, inserts, and everything hearth related. After 50 years heating up your world, Flame and Comfort has moved to 1465 St. James Street. You'll find it will be one of the most impressive showrooms in Western Canada when you get down there. And you don't need your hot takes to keep that warm feeling inside, folks. Visit Flame and Comfort. They will take care of it for you. Ken, I think tonight, Connor Hellebuck looked to me like to a degree he's received a little bit of the Pristine Roofing wake-up call, which means, you know what that means. Time to give North End Rick the Pristine Roofing wake-up call at 204-981-6289. The guy you want down at your place to tell you about all your roofing, siding, and exterior needs. You can also call Pristine Roofing directly at 204-237-7663. Give your home the Pristine Roofing and Siding wake-up call. You will be glad that you did. Are you seeing what I saw, Ken? Are you seeing Connor Hellebuck, who maybe took a step forward tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I really liked his game the other night in Minnesota. Obviously, again, it wasn't a crazy high danger chance start for Hellebuck. We know that Scott O'Neill referenced, I think, 2 scoring chances among those, 9-0 in shots or shots faced the other night. But he just provided some really significant stability. And again, he was 32 of 34, which is important. Tonight, again, this is one where, again, we talk about the numbers don't always tell the whole story. I mean, in this game, Sean Hellebuck is 897, but I didn't think he particularly uh, played poorly. That's not what I saw. I saw a guy who did a really nice job in the game. Both goalies were solid. I mean, the natural stat trick has the expected goals for at 5.74 for the Jets and 3.75 for the Leafs. So, I mean, both goalies I thought played well. I saw somebody mentioned, something about a weak goal. I don't recall a weak goal. I see a Austin Matthews, ripper from the slot. I see a Oliver Ekman Larson slapper on a brilliant pass by Nick Robertson, and I see a point shot that goes in off Bobby McMahon, or it goes through traffic, and then you see a 2-on-1 in overtime. So I thought that Hellebuck was sound again.
I'll say this. What impressed me about Hellebuck was not so much. So, two of those goals, I actually think he loses his net a little bit on the Oliver Ekman Larson
Okay.
goal. That's the kind of goal that we would have said in the past. Well, that shot may not look like much, but that's a big and boring save by Connor Hellebuck. Like, to me, that's a shot from that spot that if it's true about Connor Hellebuck, that he just has superior positioning and he's in the right spot and he's a big body and he covers off so much of the net, that the angle of that, Connor Hellebuck as a 6'5" large goalie should be big enough to cover off the entirety of the net. I think he pushes across. I think he loses the net a little bit in that. And then the one thing I'll say is it may not have mattered, but I think he entirely commits himself to the shot on the OT goal. Like, he's not prepared to push across and stop that. Because if I, and this is just like a memory thing, it feels to me like Domi doesn't get the shot off right away. Like, he catches, corrals it, and then shoots. There was time for Connor Hellebuck to get over and challenge that shot a little bit more. So I actually think on two of those goals, both of them, one for sure is an extremely high degree of difficulty. But what I did like is the saves that he did make. There was a really, really great save after the Toronto Maple Leafs made it 3-2 right in the slot. He makes a really, really good blocker save. He makes that save on the 2-on-1 earlier in the second period. He makes the glove save on the rebound after that. I thought that there was I'm a little bit surprised to hear that expected goals were only 3 something. Given some of the opportunities and some of the things that happened, like
well, the shorthanded chances for Steven Lorentz, I mean,
for sure,
at least 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's 2 right there. Where did the rest of the game go? Those are 2 you'd expect to be in the back of the net. So sure. To me, I guess, for those who are choosing to be critical about Connor Hellebuck, I would suggest get goals 2 and goals 4. He can play better on those goals, but I will also suggest I think there was a lot of pucks that would be in the back of the net if Connor Hellebuck wasn't having a little bit of an old school Connor Hellebuck type of night.
Yeah, and I mean, on the 2-on-1, I mean, Austin Matthews, I know he's not having a great year, but he's one of the best shooters in the NHL. So, I mean,
the first one you give a
no. I mean, on the 2-on-1, I'm expecting Austin to shoot there. No offense to Max Domi. One guy's got 6 goals, the other guy's now has 24. So if I see the puck on Austin Matthews' stick, I'm not saying he can't pass it over, because obviously he does. I'm expecting him to try to go bar down there if I'm Hellebuck.
Well, then that opens us to the conversation. Should the defenseman have just entirely abandoned the idea of playing Austin Matthews at all and just made sure
trying to take away the pass away? No, totally.
I mean, that's what we're told. We've been told that since we were young. That's what you're supposed to do, but it's a little bit different when the shooter's Austin Matthews, right?
For sure.
To your point, but I mean, I don't want to let Hellebuck off the hook. There's other goaltenders who, even given the circumstances, given the amount of time Domi has with the puck, I feel like there should have been a better push from Connor Hellebuck on that shot, and that shot challenged just a little bit more. I would suggest. Anyway,
again, I didn't see a ton. I'm with you. I just thought that the Ekman Larson shot, I didn't see a ton of room available. Ekman Larson just buried it. It looked like a really good shot to me. But yeah, I mean, Hellebuck's a guy that makes a lot of saves, and like you said, so in the game, goaltending was the least of the Jets' worries. Now, the fact that it's another 4 goals allowed, for sure. I mean, that to me is back to, what the Jets are giving up. And, yeah, put that, sorry, Mike, we've deciphered that Mike McDonald is Bick Ronis. No, I mean,
Oh, is
another
that what it
just,
is?
that's my personal view.
Oh
Um,
wow, wow, Kenny with an unmasking in the show here. That hey, this has come
please,
out of
please,
left
Mike,
field for
Mike,
me.
let me
I
know
kind
if
of like it.
I'm wrong here.
He
But
would never admit it. He
uh,
would never admit it. I've never
I've
heard
been
Clark
watching.
Kent say he's Superman.
I've been watching a lot of takes from Mike McDonald, and they're very reminiscent of Mr. Bick Ronis. Is my
There we
personal
go.
view.
Saying hell
No,
he
no,
played great when he's given up 4 goals a game. Okay, Mike McDonald. I mean,
I was
hey,
more curious. No, I meant the one about Saul Monson that he put up.
okay, so that's the interesting one that I want to bring up because that one actually, I think I actually had that start before we had that other great take.
Yeah.
No, I did not. I had someone pegged for that because I'll just my take is very simple. There was a point tonight where Elias Solomonson did a lateral cut. He was in the middle of the ice. A guy had the outside, and it's one of these situations where a guy could just blow right past a guy to the near post, go straight to the net. And Elias Solomonson all of a sudden did like this sharp cut and went laterally and had him on the boards and eliminated the play. And like, I'm ready to say it, the kind of minutes that he handled tonight, like to say that he's not ready when he played a lot of minutes against Austin Matthews, the best scorer in the game for the last number of years. The way that he played with Josh Morrissey and some of the stuff I saw him do on the ice, to me, his confidence level is there. There's a couple corner plays that I saw that he killed and got the puck out that were like eye popping to me. My take is simple. Solomonson has arrived. Like the conversation should
Yes.
no longer be, can he do this? Does he need a runway? Does he need this? Does he need that? I see an NHL level defenseman that should be getting into the lineup because at this stage, I don't see the downside factor of it that a lot of fans totally discount and they don't pay a lot of attention to. Coaches have to make sure that they're guarding a player's confidence and bringing them along, right? I just think he's at the stage now where that doesn't need to be done anymore. Bring the kid up, let him play at the NHL. He's an NHL player. He's got NHL skills. He's got NHL talent. He moves like an NHLer. He moves like a very good NHLer. It's just time to get him in because I don't know that the best thing for his progression at this stage is to stay at the NHL and keep going. That's my take on it.
Totally. NHL minutes. Mike's getting a double
McDonald.
pristine wake-up call. We're going for a 2-time pristine wake-up call.
You're back.
Sorry. It's one of the most absurd things that I've seen. So.
Oh my goodness, the double.
Sorry,
Hey, North End Rick, you're going to be real busy here. 204-981-6289. Get them down to your place for all your roofing, siding, and exterior needs. You can also call Pristine Roofing directly at 204-237-7663. Mike McDonald,
come on,
maybe
Mike.
Bick,
Be better.
getting the first ever
unmasking
Pristine Roofing double wake up call in the
come
history,
on, man,
and potentially being the victim of an unmasking that can, if you're right, that's humiliating. You know what happens to luchadors in the ring when you rip their mask off in front of the crowd? That's it. That's the end of their career. We may never hear from Bick Ronis again. If you are
unbelievable.
Right,
sorry, tonight 24 shifts for 17-16. Yes, he is on for 2 even strength goals against Mike McDonald, and we see it. Yes, there are still going to be mistakes made. Guess what? The best NHL defensemen make mistakes. Right now, Elias Solomonson is playing with so much more confidence. He was excellent the other night against the Wild, Sean. I think he was third minutes among the defensemen. I mean, this isn't just a matter of when they get healthy, leave them on the third pairing. This is a guy that needs to be playing. Sean, I've been saying this for weeks now. At the end of the year, Solomonson needs to be at least north of 30 games played. And if it's closer to 40, that's probably better for the Jets in both the short term and the long term. Now, again, it doesn't have to be 18 a night, but even if it's Neil Pionk, whenever he's back, he's still week to week. But now with Colin Miller having had, I think, Scott O'Neill basically said similar surgery to Hellebuck. So my take, Sean, is that means it's arthroscopic surgery. So I mean,
Yeah.
Connor Helba came back way earlier than we expected, probably 2 weeks earlier than we expected.
Yeah.
With Colin Miller as a pending UFA, Colin Miller has given a lot to the Jets organization, but the future and now the present is Solomonson. So he needs to be playing games. I mean, he needs to be ready. I know now. So was Solomonson ready months ago? I'm not certain. And again, he wasn't looking the same way today as he was in those first 4 games. And again, that's not a surprise for a guy who played his first 4 NHL games. He handled the demotion, he handled the whole situation perfectly, Sean. This is what we said about Nikita Chibrikov and about Brad Lambert. Brad Lambert, goal and an assist today. Good on him. But Solomonson came up, got a taste of the NHL. There were times when he showed flashes of being ready and times
Yeah.
he showed he was not quite ready for the minutes that they would like him to get. So he went back down and played dominant minutes. That's what we've been talking about all year long. This is how you handle a demotion. Now he's come back and looks like a more confident player, which is natural. So to me, Solomonson needs to stay in the lineup. I mean, again, we don't make the coaching decisions, but to me, that's what I see. I see a guy who needs to play more and is ready for more. And, if that means having to move somebody out when a few guys get healthy, then so be it. But Solomonson, and we even saw it for a few shifts today, Sean, Solomonson beside Morrissey. I mean, that's a potential pairing for down the road. So, again, I'm not advocating for it to be immediate and it has to be 24 minutes a game. That's not what I'm saying at all. But he's at least ready for third pairing minutes. And for as long as Neil Pionk is out, he's ready for second pairing minutes because you may see him as a shutdown pairing guy with Samberg during this next wave of time.
So this comment here by Matthew Hyman, who says, Renny, we've been saying it for months. This doesn't mean you're right, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're wrong either. Like, that's the beauty of this thing. And I think that's probably the beauty of being a fan, is you get to say, well, I knew this before you did, and he should have been there since the very beginning. With and you can kind of lean into the idea that, well, he's better now than he was then. So we were right the whole time because he ended up getting there. But I would say this, it's very common to bring up an NHL player, give him a taste, give him a little bit of a run, right? Then you see a little bit of the things that are kind of like, like, here's the hardest thing to do. We know this. We've said this before. When you're a young player, it's easy to compete for your first 10 games, right? You're running on adrenaline. Everything's going. Your attention, your focus to detail, everything is there. The hardest thing about being a pro is doing it over and over and over and over and over again. So I don't know what the coaching staff saw. Maybe they saw that there was a couple cracks in his game. Maybe they didn't want those cracks to become fissures and break and get bigger and bigger and bigger and crumble. So they thought, hey, let's take the confidence the players built, get them down to the minors, build on that confidence from there, the and then come back. It's a normal well, and that's the other thing, Ken, is you get that playing time. It's like, okay, now he comes up, he knows that he can kind of do it. Now let's get him back, get him hungry, get him to work on the little kind of things that we thought, hey, you had your first little thing. This is what we saw. This was great. We think you still need to shore this up a little bit. Now you go down to the minors, shore that up, and then come back and it builds. Like, what's happening right here is how a lot of young careers track. But maybe Matthew Hyman's right. Maybe if they would have left him there, he would have figured it out on his own. I'm open to that idea, Matthew. I'm also open to the idea that they could have brought him up and those little cracks in his game could have grown and grown and grown. His confidence could have been affected. And now you'd be, instead of bringing him up, and to my eyes, bringing up a player that looks like he's here to stay now and that he's putting it back in the rearview mirror, unless, he's back for the playoffs if the Winnipeg Jets don't make the playoffs, right, and the Manitoba Moose do. But I'd far prefer that scenario if I were the Winnipeg Jets than if, you kept them in the lineup as this team was falling apart and as this team was losing and as this team was playing the worst hockey in the NHL for the months of November and December, and not being able to insulate that player, and it may be affecting his confidence and maybe going out. So if it makes people feel better, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying this is my opinion now. If it makes you feel better to say, well, Sean, we came to that conclusion a long time ago, by all means, get at it. If you need that, take it. I just don't think it's as easy as that. And sometimes, especially when it comes to prospects, you just gotta when they end up hitting and doing well. Sometimes instead of saying he should have been up earlier, sometimes you got to say they handled that pretty darn well, didn't they? Because look where he got to.
Exactly. And that's why at the time when he was sent down, it's exactly what I said. There were parts of it that showed give him a longer runway. There were other parts that said, hey, guess what the benefits are of playing 20 to 22 nights 22 minutes a night and being used in all situations instead of being on the third pairing where you're not getting the touches that would help you be ready when a second pairing defenseman ends up on the shelf. So, Sean, I covered the American League for 10 years. I've seen lots of guys think that they're ready and not be ready. This is a good example. This is what we talked about Ville Heinola. You want him to over marinate and then be ready and put the AHL in his rearview mirror. That never fully happened, even though he's been playing better of late. Solomonson now looks like a guy who's confident. But John, I'll also say this. I thought there were a couple of times tonight where he made the wrong read, but it just didn't cost him. He got involved offensively, which is what you want from that player, but the timing wasn't quite right. But he was able to get bailed out by either his defense partner or the F3. But you want him to be aggressive because what have we been hearing from Scott O'Neill? And you laid it out in the opening drive. They want offense from the defense. So that means getting your reads right. So there were times when maybe the reads weren't perfect, but at least he's being active enough. And it's not an irrational type of behavior where the risk profile is wild, but there are still times where he's going to have to get that risk profile figured out. But guess what? You don't get it figured out unless you get the game experience. So now, again, we get it, chicken and egg. But to me, again, and I also, we were talking, if Solomonson had played a little bit better and, he got sick right before the Edmonton game where he was going to go back to back, he might have got a longer look at the beginning, but it just didn't line up for him that way. He handled everything really well, and now he's looking more and more like an NHLer. To me.
Ken, I wanted to, here's something I wanted to bring up because you got talking about the shots from the point. I think I'm on to something.
You are. Go wild here.
And I think that I'm not getting the answer from the coaches and the players because I actually think it's a little bit of like their superpower and they don't want to give things away on it. But the Winnipeg Jets are getting offense from the point, right? And you saw it tonight. Two perfect examples of it. Get it to the point, get the shot through. Logan Stanley's is a little bit different. It's not really reflective of what I'm about to say here. But the last goal, the Nino Niederreiter goal is, and what it is the Winnipeg Jets are getting that offense from the defense. You have to have like big horses in front of the net. Jonathan Toews has now been that for a while. He almost gets another one here tonight. Nino Niederreiter has been struggling, but he's capable of that. Alex Iafallo is a guy who's able to fight his way into shooting lanes and tip pucks. Vladislav Domestikov has done it in the past, but the Jets are starting to get guys to the front of the net. That's part of the equation, right? Those guys end up being dangerous if the puck gets to the front of the net. But they also have to make sure that they get there in time to create the confusion so that there's even a rebound in the first place. So if you take a look at a lot of the goals that are happening, you need that rebound. And sometimes it's not the hardest shot. Sometimes they're just floating it at net, but the confusion has to be there. So that's one of the elements of it. But back your way up before that, and the defenseman has to be able to get the shot through, and that's not easy to do. And the Winnipeg Jets are a really good team at defending that, at not allowing the shot to get through, although on this night, that last shot gets through to tie the game. It's not easy to do that. Here's what the Winnipeg Jets are doing good. And it's what they did last year. It's why they're consistent. It's why it's not a fluke that the Winnipeg Jets keep getting offense from the point. And it's that they outman the opposition. Scott O'Neill talked about it a little bit today. They outman the opposition up in the corner, and they've got a guy waiting on the outside of the scrum. The goal for them is to battle and get the puck to that guy, okay? Now, what a lot of teams do in the NHL is they get that puck out and they throw it straight back to the point, okay? They throw it right up the wall. And then quite often what'll happen is that defenseman will pass it all the way to the other side of the ice. And now you've got a little bit of time and space, but teams still feel you can defend that in that situation. The Winnipeg Jets, and this, Ken, I'm watching, I think this is what they're doing. The player who's defending the guy on the point is just assuming that the puck is going to go straight up the wall. And that's last time he looked, that's where that player is. But what happens, and think of the Mark Scheifele goal, the Dylan DeMello goal of the other day, a couple games back, or was it last game, where Mark Scheifele gets him the puck? It's the perfect example of it. What happens is, as soon as the Jets have possession, the Jets defenseman isn't waiting for the pass. He's starting to move to the middle of the ice. And what happens is the defender doesn't see it because the defenseman is to his back and he's watching Mark Scheifele in this situation, who's the guy who gets it out of the scrum. And because he can't see him, he's not defending the proper shooting lane. And if Mark Scheifele can get the puck through, by the time that player turns and looks, he has no chance, Ken, no chance of blocking that shooting lane. So getting pucks through is paramount. They're getting it through because of this little play that they're doing. And those same guys who were in the corner battling and scrumming to get Mark Scheifele the puck, as soon as Mark Scheifele's got the puck, they are going straight to the front of the net because the timing, you talk about showing up on time, getting there as the puck is coming in to screen the goalie. This is what it looks like. I'm battling in the corner. I get the puck to Mark Scheifele. I don't even look. I go as hard as I can to the front of the net. If Mark Scheifele does his job, that the guy who's defending the top point isn't looking. If you get the puck past him, he's not in the shooting lane. Now the defenseman has the shooting lane. If I'm going as hard as I can, I get to the front of the net right on time. Maybe I screen it. Maybe I tip it. I'm there for the rebound. Boom, it's in the back of the net because I'm moving there. I'm not standing there getting boxed out. I'm going, the timing of it is perfect. It's a borderline set play, and it's brilliant, Ken. The Jets are executing it to perfection, and it is why they are suddenly finding the depth scoring they didn't have before and finding consistent scoring from the point.
For sure. Going to the hard areas. The Jets did not do a good enough job of that, and their low to high just wasn't happening. And Sean, we've been talking about this for months. Jets forechecking game did not allow them to get extended zone time shifts in the offensive zone to go low to high, let alone even get to the front of the net or find the shot lane to get that shot through from the point, which is another area I think, and I know you agree, they struggled with this year earlier on to get shots through from the point, let alone getting the traffic to get there. So yeah, I know you've been digging in on this for a long time here. And I agree completely. I mean, it's part of and creating chaos around the net. That's a Nino Niederreiter DNA trait. The goal today is vintage Niederreiter. Yes, we see him in practice every day, with redirections and rarely missing them, but he also gets to the blue paint for rebounds. And yes, it's a turnaround rebound goal after the point shot from Shen. But Sean, man, look at the reaction from Niederreiter after he snaps the 21 game drought. I mean, he literally, let out an exhale, deep breath 4 or 5 times after looking skyward. So again, we've talked about this a lot. A lot has happened for Nino Niederreiter in the last quarter of the season. 1,000th NHL game, first healthy scratch, demotion to the fourth line, reduction in minutes, promotion back to the line with Lowry, getting a couple important assists, then finally getting a goal. I mean, Sean, this is a guy who was an automatic 20-goal guy for a long time. And, the last couple of years got close, but didn't quite get there. But man, for him, he really needed that goal and he got it. Now, again, of course, he's going to be disappointed because the team didn't win. But I mean, at the time of the goal, it looked like it might be the game winner. So anyways, I thought that it was an important thing, and I agree with you. I mean, Jets need to keep doing a good job of getting their point shots through. Because Sean, another one of those guys that's good at getting shots through normally is Neil Pionk, and he's not available, for at least a little while longer. And the other update was that Hayden Fleury still hasn't been back on the ice. He's got some follow-up appointments with the nose and back issues as a result of that play against Vegas here. So again, keep doing what they're doing. And Elias Solomonson, Sean, I know we haven't seen a ton of it yet, but he's a guy that also has an offensive side to his game. Again, at the NHL level, he's probably going to be more of a shutdown guy, but his mobility and zone exit ability will allow him to also, occasionally jump up in the rush, because that's something that he does at the American League level. Now, it may not be immediate, but he is a guy that can provide some offense too. I mean, he's a guy that does some power play work within the Manitoba Moose as well. So again, I think that this is an area where the Jets are getting better at, and I think they'll continue to get better at as they continue to move forward here, or they'll have to continue to be better at it if they want to keep producing at that rate that they've been producing goals, which was a big problem for a long time.
Well, good to see that they're producing goals. And hey, I don't know if you'll produce goals. You may have some goals, but I can tell you, you're going to be able to score. And you'll be able to score a great rate with Cambrian Credit Union. Getting a mortgage doesn't have to throw you off your game. While you focus on home sweet home, our friends at Team Cambrian Credit Union take care of the mortgage part with their low rates. Whether you're looking for a new home, renewing, or making the switch, Cambrian is your mortgage MVP. They can help make the next season of your mortgage path easier and help save you money. Now that's what we call a win. Head to cambrian.mb.ca/rates for more. And Ken, can you give Sweet Lou a shout out?
Most certainly can. If you have real estate needs you'd like to have bet, contact our main man, Lou Ferland, at Royal LePage Dynamic Realty, 204-791-9971, or at the office, 204-989-5000. His email is lou@louferland.ca. That's LOU@LOUFURLAN.ca. Lou Ferland, excellent realtor, excellent human being, and excellent supporter of the community, including this podcast.
There's a little bit of a debate on who won the Sean Reynolds Award. I think if I had to hand it out, I would hand it out to Hildeby. Paul Robert, though, got a case, says Hildeby played well, but Helly had some insanely good moments. It was a fun game, except that it was versus the Leafs. I will say that there was one play that I thought was actually really, really smart on Hildeby's part. Is the Jets were all over them. He gets kind of out of the net. Kyle Connor's got the puck behind the net, and Hildeby doesn't move. He doesn't scramble to get back into his net. I was kind of surprised he didn't, Ken, with so much chaos going on. It was a smart moment, because you know what Kyle Connor's waiting for, and you know what Hildeby is waiting to do?
Poke check?
No. He's waiting for Hildeby to break and push back towards his net, and then he's looking to bank the puck off him.
Oh, sure. Sorry, yes.
As he draws himself back into the net, he knows what Kyle Connor's waiting to do, and in that moment, that to me was like an ice in your veins type of moment. I was really impressed, because as I was watching it in real time, I was like, what is this guy doing? And he was just so stoic. And then as soon as Kyle Connor moved in behind the net and couldn't make that play anymore, he went back in. But to realize in that moment that moving back towards your net actually creates a moving target to bounce the puck off you and into your own net, I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was a really, really brilliant moment.
Right. And some people on press row wondering if Kyle was going to go for the Michigan in that situation, right?
Yeah. Well,
if you don't have the bank ability, but again, Hildeby's 6'7" or whatever he is, 6'8", whatever. He's a massive netminder. So takes up a lot of space in a lot of areas. But I agree with you. I mean, not opening up your backside or your pants or whatever for a bank shot was a really nice job by Hildeby for sure.
Well, he's
unlucky for Connor, because the first chance goes off his skate, right? Yes. Otherwise, that's a backdoor rebound goal for him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And good back check by Scott Lawton on the play also.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Hildeby 6'8", big goaltender, smart goaltender. Sure looks like to me, seems to have this covered from all around. And that, of course, brings us to Myers Drugs, who have you covered all around the city of Winnipeg, because as you know, they deliver anywhere in the city of Winnipeg. So if you have any pharmaceutical needs, if you have any health food needs, if you have any supplemental needs, talk to the folks at Myers. They will come to you. Give them a chance, folks. Okay, time to go to our Johnson Group Got You Covered play of the game. I think this was an obvious one by the end. There was a lot of candidates, but boy, oh boy, I'll go first. Kyle, or in the overtime, at the beginning of the overtime, Connor Hellebuck being out of it, and Mark Scheifele sliding across to take away the open net shot there. I can't remember Mark Scheifele doing that. That there's been a lot of different players who have done that over the years, but Matthew Hyman is right here saying 55. I agree. That was bang on for me. The Johnson Group got you covered play of the game. Did you have a different one, Ken?
No, I mean I had one earlier on in the game, but that was the better one. I think Taves really had a great back check to break up, Easton Cowan to Nick Robertson backdoor tap. Some good hustle there, but I mean it's tough to beat the play. I mean Morrissey tried to block it too, but I think Scheifele was the one who actually made the save. So I mean, good effort by both players.
Yes.
But the play by Scheifele is definitely our Johnson Group got you covered play of the game.
Well, hey, listen. Scheifele has accomplished a lot in his career, but this may be his first ever Johnson Group got you covered play of the game award, which means, hey, that is filling the trophy case once you got that going on there. Maybe he'll say the same thing as Dylan DeMello did the other day when he won it and said, well, what did I win? So maybe, yeah, what's the prize? What do I get? What's going on here? You get the respect and the admiration from the Kenny and Renny chat group, from Kenny and Renny, and you also get the Kenny and Renny OGs, the Johnson Group got you covered play of the game in that situation. Really, could you want anything more than that? I don't know that you could. But hey, do you run a small business in Canada? You need to look to Canada's #1 employee benefits plan, Chambers Plan, to give you a competitive edge. Chambers Plan is the simple, stable, smart choice for over 30,000 businesses countrywide. Visit chamberplan.ca to learn more. And Ken, that brings us to our hashtag, the keg save of the game. What do you got?
Yeah, for me, I'm going early. I thought it was the save on Lorentz on the 2-on-1 shorty opportunity. And I think, Sean, you said there was another one. Oh, no, the second one went off the crossbar, right? It wasn't a glove save off the rebound play there? Or was it 2 saves on that first shorthanded situation there? Lorentz made the shot on the 2-on-1, and then the puck came in front, and it was kind of madness for a while there. Either way, I'm going with the initial save by Hellebuyck on Lorentz.
Good for you. Good for you, Ken. I like it. That's good stuff. And I'm going to just go with that as well. Hashtag keg save the game for both me and Ken. Doesn't matter what we think. Matters what you think. Share with us your hashtag, the keg save of the game. You're automatically entered to win a $50 gift certificate usable at any of the 3 fine keg locations here in the city of Winnipeg. Each location finer than the last. And that brings us to our winner from our last show. And that would be Jennifer Berthollet. Jennifer, you know what to do. Direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds. Send me your full name. Send me an email. I'll have the fine folks at the keg send you a $50 gift certificate usable at any of the 3 fine keg locations here in the city of Winnipeg. Each location finer than the last. Ken, anything to say before we shut her down?
Nope. Jumping on a plane for Chicago on Sunday, and can't wait to chronicle the events. I mean, we talk often about players returning places and tribute videos and things of that nature. But I mean, this will be a special one for the people of Chicago. I mean, they did have a chance to give Jonathan Taves a send off in his last game with the Hawks, but that at that time, Jonathan wasn't sure if he'd ever play again. So I think it'll be an electric atmosphere in the United Center, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. And everything leading up to the day as well should be entertaining again.
Well, Ken, I'm going to say, as you go down there, I know it's a quick trip. I know you don't have a lot of time, but just for the people
who
don't know,
so I've never been still
to Chicago.
No, to your spot here. I know what you're
okay.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going.
I'm planning on going there.
We share a lot of similarities. We share the music. We like our music. There's still that road trip that we had, and I put on my mix for you, and the first song that came on was Bring the Noise by Anthrax and Public Enemy, and I thought Ken was going to punch a hole through the windshield. He was so pumped up about it. And we share a love of food, and I don't know if we told the story. I think we did, but when I finally got Ken to my barbecue joint, Pappy's Smokehouse in St. Louis, he did forego the other ones. He was like, Renny, you're right. This is the place to go. I'm telling you, Ken, if you can get to Kuma's Corner in Chicago, it's the best burger I've ever had. The best burger I've ever had. I love burgers. I've eaten a lot of burgers over the years, and they crank heavy metal music the entire time that you're there. And all their burgers are named after heavy metal bands. So
tremendous.
If you need advice, Colin, my camera guy, has been there. He absolutely loves it. Derek Schmidt asked if I'm coming to Anthrax and Megadeth too. Yeah, Megadeth last tour. And I will tell you, last time Megadeth was in Winnipeg, they played with Slayer, and Slayer blew him off the stage. And it was actually kind of, it felt to me like Megadeth got on that tour and Slayer just starts playing, and it is just a wall of power that it's hard to keep up with. And I felt like Megadeth felt by the end of that tour that they were just getting their butt kicked on. Like when you do a double bill, and on some nights you're the headliner, and some nights you're not the headliner. There's enough nights when you're the headliner, if the co-headliner, but they go on first, goes out and you don't match it, I think it can kind of be disheartening. I felt like the last time I saw Megadeth, they were disheartened by the time they got to Winnipeg. They shouldn't have been. I was at Ozfest in 98, and the last four bands that played that time around were Megadeth, Motorhead, Tool, and Ozzy. And I got to tell you, Megadeth, there was, how many people were there? It was about 100,000 people in Somerset, Wisconsin, in an outdoor stadium. And Megadeth tore that place apart. So that's the Megadeth I'm hoping that we're going to be seeing, because it'll be the last time that we see them.
Fire up the symphony, buddy. There you go.
Looking for it. Yes. Sweating bullets, man. Oh, we'll all be sweating bullets if they rock how we know they can rock. Okay, that's it for us. Ken, get down to Kuma's Corner. Let everyone know about it. Everyone else, hey, if you're going down there, hey, I think Roy Mack's going down there. Roy Mack, if you're going down there, go try out Kuma's Corner as well. Other than that, come try.
I thought you were going to say Lou Malnati. I thought you were going to say Lou.
Have you not been to Lou Malnati's either?
Oh, that was on my list for tomorrow. But
okay, do that too. I mean, it's not like it's going to be the last time you're in Chicago. Kuma's Corner's out of the way. You got to plan a trip. It's got to it's one of those things you have to make it happen. You need to make it happen is all I'm saying. Anyone else out there, I stake my claim to it. I'll
Bear is everyone I've picked tomorrow, so we'll have to see how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I'll make it to the game, but it'll be fun for the town.
Yeah, well, if I know Ken, he'll just pop up at some of the most important sport events and just somehow sneak in the back door. I don't know. I think he's got like a security vest that he puts on and just like takes some people's tickets, like he's a ticket checker, and then I don't know how you do it, Ken, but keep doing it, man. It's great. Okay, that's it for us. Time for us to shut it down. But before we do, if you appreciate the conversations happening in this space, we implore you to appreciate the contributions by our sponsors who fight to keep the conversation going in this space. For us, that's Jim Pattison Toyota on Region, Vittorio Rossi, Pristine Roofing, Cambrian Credit Union, Sweet Lou Furlan, Flame and Comfort, the Kenny and Renny OGs at the Johnston Group, the fine folks at the Keg, and of course the fine folks at Myers Drugs. Thank you to them. Thank you to all of you. Time for us to shut it down. We'll see you after the next game. Bye-bye, folks.